Hey guys, it's your girl Kdiddavis coming back to you right now. Today I'm doing a Q&A for Path / Shelter, same thing, but if you're in New York, it's called Path. As you know, I've been through the shelter. I've been out for over a year and a half now, and I get questions all the time about the shelter, and these are some of the questions I picked out that people have put me on Instagram, and or my Facebook page. So I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 questions. So this is the ones I could think of because I went through some people's like stuff and I put out I feel like I answer other questions in other videos, so I'm not going to answer them again. But if you have other questions, you could put it at the bottom of this video and I could do a second video, a part 2 to this. So yeah. So and also I have a whole playlist at this point I made, because I made 3 or 4 other videos talking about my experience and how I found how you can find other shelters. The Path is a family shelter. They have women's shelters, they have men's shelters, they have, I guess you could say, teen shelters. It's a certain age limit that they have. And I should be linking the playlist. Sorry, I have KK. It's the day off. I should be linking at the end of this, not the end of the video, but at the in the description box below or wherever it's gonna be, depending on which device you're watching it on. I am gonna be linking the playlist of my other questions that I made. I'm gonna be linking the other information that I have about shelters and stuff like that down below in my playlist. So that's what I'm doing right now. So the first question is, do you have to share rooms in the shelter? In New York City, you do not have to share rooms. It's private rooms. It's private rooms. In other states, I know you do, and you have to actually take your stuff up. And when I've been watching, I've never been in other states, so I know. Katanya, chill out, baby. Chill out. Katanya. Sorry, guys. And I'm not gonna edit this, so you're gonna see all that. But anyway, so you have your own room in New York City, and all the shelters the rooms have microwaves. Not all of them have stoves. That's the only thing. Or stoves are hot plates. I don't think I've seen a stove. Let me see. I only seen hot plates. And everywhere, if it has a stove, that means they have a sink. If they don't have if they have only a microwave, they don't have a sink inside. They just have the bathroom sink that you have. You have your individual bathrooms. You don't share a bathroom with anybody, so you have your own space in that. You don't have to. You leave your stuff there. You come back at a certain time, depending on the curfew. Also, the way to get out of the curfew, if you really are not if you're really a church person. Don't use it if you're not a church person. You get a letter from your church, say you go to church activities and stuff like that, and they can excuse you for certain days as long as you tell them in advance that you're gonna be doing this. I've literally have stayed out a couple of days out of the shelter. You only get 3 days, but because I have a church letter, they had to let me go because my church wrote me a letter. So yeah, on the cover head. Katanya. Oh my gosh, she's killing me. So the next question is, do they give you food? Okay. Do they give you food? Some shelters give food. Some of them don't. Some shelters give they'll give you sandwiches, I think probably all the shelters are supposed to give that, but certain shelters only have it at certain times in the day, and certain shelters don't. And the food is disgusting, to be honest. At first I was eating it and I just had to just buy food from outside and just bring it in. Or when I had my stoves, I just make food for myself instead of doing all that, because it costs money to be buying food every single day for you and your child. They give milk, cereal. The last shelter I was in, they had boxes and boxes of milk and cereal they got from DHS and things like that. So it all depends on what shelter you're in and how they do their meal timing. They have a lot of frozen foods. They put in a microwave, things like that. When you have a child, some shelters do, some shelters don't. When you have a baby, not a child, a baby, they give you milk and they give you cereal and things like that. So it all depends on where you're located and things like that. So yeah, and sometimes people do from the neighborhood, because they know it's a shelter, they do donate a lot of food out to people. I've gotten a lot of they'll put on the loudspeaker in the thing because, after they do fire drills, they have to also have like the loudspeakers for the whole building in case something does happen. They say, come downstairs, they have food. And if you don't come down, like, thank God I was on the first floor for some time. People, you never see these people until they say they call for food, like food out from outside. Not like the shelter food, regular, like, people food. Of course, all food is, whatever, but yeah. Okay. What do you have to, okay, the things when you go into the shelter, when you have to go into PATH in the Bronx, the things you have to bring in is an ID for yourself. It's good to have all these things prepared before you just go there because, yeah, you could do it because they give you a 10-day grace period or whatever. Yeah, you can bring it in over 10 days, but it's better just to have everything out the way. Okay, so you bring in your ID, you bring in, if you have, well, PATH is for children, so you have to bring in all your children's birth certificate to know, so they know that you're the parent for that child and things like that. Then you have to bring in, if you got evicted, you have to bring an eviction letter. Even with an eviction letter, they can say no, because they did that to me. So they have to, what somebody had explained there to me when the workers did, because some people, they know the information, they don't want to explain to you, and they be asking for stuff, and they don't explain it properly. Like, I thought just having an eviction letter was fine because I'm evicted. No, they will definitely still no to you, because it happened to me. It happened to me when I was, at the time I was pregnant, I didn't have an eviction letter, but then when I got an eviction letter after the second place I was in, because I told the lady to take me to court because we weren't getting along, and for me to get in the PATH, that's the only way for me to get in the PATH, so I asked her to take me to court. So, different story. Maybe one day I'll do a story about that. So, Katanya, not so loud, baby. Katanya, not so loud, baby, okay? So, I don't know if you can hear her, but she's making me, like, my brain go, So, so what else? Let me see. My eviction letter. Okay. So you have to bring in things. I don't think they still have the rule, but when I was in there, you have to bring in things for past 2 years. You have to have stuff with your address where you were living for the past 2 years. I guess they're gonna check up on where that address is coming from and go there because at the time when I went into PATH, when I forgot the eviction letter, the second time I had went to PATH, the second round, they had evicted me and a guy was telling me this is what you need. You need something from the past 2 years. You need like mail from a certain place. My mail was with my old house with mom. And they went to my mom's house, but they didn't get her because they don't know the doorbell doesn't ring, like, work. So they're at the house. They went to the house, and they left a letter there saying, I have to speak to you. I think they went there, I feel like, several times. They didn't make sure, like, whatever. I guess they assumed that nobody's living there or she moved or whatever. But, yeah, they went to the house to visit to see my mom. Because I know this girl who I used to work with, she said they came to her mom's house, and she was there, actually, when they came over. And she had to tell she told her mom to tell the people, like, I don't want my daughter to be there. So they's like, can you just please, they'll try to convince you to convince your family to take you back in, because they have so much homeless people in New York City. The person has to convince them, saying, I don't want them here anymore, there's no space, things like that. So that's pretty much it. When you have a DV case, it's much easier because, whatever. But things you do have to bring is a birth certificate for your kids. Because I feel like I got off track. If you have information for the past 2 years, like your mailing address, things like that. If you live with somebody and they don't want you living anymore, bring a letter, but a notarized letter. So they have to, go to the notary and the notary republic, whatever. So stamp it and say this person is the one who actually did the letter. And an ID for yourself. I hope that's all clear. If it's not, just write a question down below and I will definitely answer your question. Can you have people over? Yes, you can have people over depending on what shelter you go to. So every shelter have their own rules. I'll give you like a whole booklet, which I never really read half of those booklets because I went to 4 different shelters. Who was reading, and I hate to read. I want my daughter to hear that because she likes to read. Even though she can't read, because she's convinced that she can, but whatever. So that's pretty much how that goes. The last shelter I was in, they had like a living area, so people were actually able to come there and talk to you and be with you. The second shelter I was in also had like that space, so they had that. The other shelter I was in did not. They don't allow guests or nothing to come over. So yeah, you're actually allowed to stay out the shelter for a couple of days, depending if it's like families, usually on the weekends, and you have to come back into the shelter unless you have like a court, like if you're sharing your child with their father or mother was not in the shelter, you have court papers to say oh, da 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 da. Because if you're in a family shelter, you're supposed to come back every night with your child. If you don't, it's a problem, and by a certain time. On top of that, and they said, oh, depending on the weekends, if not, if you, like, there's a whole bunch of rules they have depending on what shelters you end up in. So just be aware of that. But if you're sharing custody with the other parent, as long as you bring in that paperwork, this shouldn't be a problem. How can they? How can you have? Well, all right. The next question is, how can they get you into NYCHA? So if you have a good housing specialist, they can get you into the proper list, because I think it's called it's a 1, a 2, and a 3. I think something like that. They have basically stages. So the first highest stage would get you into the NYCHA faster would be people who are in DV. The second one would be people in shelter, and they have to put a special code. So when you get in the shelter, they usually make you go to a housing specialist. The housing specialist I got last wasn't that versed because it's his first time actually working with the shelter system, so he really didn't know, and I had to call NYCHA back and forth, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. But you're supposed to be on a certain list if you're in the shelter. They're supposed to automatically put you in there, but sometimes it doesn't happen. You also with NYCHA, you have to also have a certain income, even if it's like maybe your father's paying you child support, that gets counted. Or if you get cash assistance, that counts. They don't care as long as some kind of income, because they don't want to take you if you don't have an income. So you have to have an income. Always update, even when you're not in the shelter. Always update your information. If you're not, they kind of put you to the side. You're not really counted into the next lottery that they have. So that's how you get into NYCHA when you live in a shelter. Make sure your housing specialist is on top of that. Make sure you're on top of it every couple of months. Just update your information. If you don't, it's going to be a problem. I'm sorry if I'm not looking directly at you. I'm usually probably not anyway. But I'm reading the paper that I made. Like, I'm reading questions, as you can see. Can you get into the shelter in New York City if you're from a different state? Actually, I thought you couldn't, but you can. Which I'm not surprised. I've seen people in my shelter who has a different accent than I do, and I'm like, they're not from New York City. They're somewhere in the South. But so much shelters around the country is overpacked, and this one young lady came from a different state. And her state, which is nearby, one of the, like Jersey or whatever, for an example, is close by. And they told her to go to New York because New York is we overpacked and they'll put people in hotels, which is kind of crazy. We have more, I guess, space compared to her state. So her state told her to come over here. So I called actually PATH, and they said long day bringing the information, the eviction letter and all this stuff and whatever. And they know that certain states are overpacked. A lot of people are coming from other places. They'll actually take her in. So that's a good thing to know. Don't just come over here because you want to come over here because we have better shelters than all the other states. Come here because you really need help, all right? Just putting it out there. Okay, bring a letter and just I talked about this earlier. Basically, just bring letters for the past 2 years of where you live and the place you like, all that stuff. So I don't have to go over that again. This will give up. What did I write? All right, I did that. I answered that question too. That basically they'll show up at your family's house. Whatever they will use. All right, this is another thing. When you get in the shelter, I knew this at Covenant House too, but Covenant House, I think you have to do it. In the regular DHS shelter, you don't have to do it. So they give you a letter from HRA because you have to go to HRA, even if you make a lot of money, because they're the one who pay the rent for the shelter. My shelter thing they told me was $4,000 a month, which is crazy because my rent doesn't cost that much. So I'm like, yeah, that's how they lose so much money in New York City. They're doing stupidness, and they're making all the taxpayer money going for foolishness. But whatever, I'm not about that life, so I'm like, whatever. They'll ask you to actually take some of your paycheck, and they'll put into a savings account for you, and they'll raise interest. I personally didn't do this. I didn't know if I'm going to get my money back. I didn't really trust it, so I never actually do it. So people have done it, I guess. I don't know if it works for them. I've never done that, but I know they do send that in the mail for you like every month to do that. I just personally never done it because I feel like I'm wasting my money doing that, and I didn't have money to really be giving out to them like that. And I worked part-time, so like asking, make sure when you're at PATH, ask as many questions as you want to make sure you're comfortable. And going into shelter, some people are scared. I I was scared. I didn't want to go into it, but I know I was doing the best thing for my child, so I definitely did it, and I had no other choice. So, and if you have a DV case, guys, this is the last question. If you have a DV case, they definitely take care of you. I knew somebody who was in there with a DV case, and they helped her out. It's not as fast as she wanted to be in there, but yeah. I think I still have that girl number. I usually don't talk to people in the shelter like that. One thing, keep to yourself, because people have too much drama. Personally, I never had no drama, but I've seen a lot of drama. If I can remember some stories, if you want me to tell some stories about what happened in the shelter with people with the craziness and the fights, and I haven't seen the fights, I always heard the fights through my door, or the people yelling. I always had crazy neighbors, like people across from me. The struggle was real for them, but yeah. Thank you for listening, guys. If you have any other questions, I can answer it down low and also make another video. So right now there's about 10 or 11 questions that I answered, and yeah, so if you want to know anything else more that I did not cover in these 4 or 5 videos about the shelter path in New York City, definitely ask me down below. I'll definitely answer it. Subscribe, people, like people, share people. I'm just want to get the word and out there about this, and it's scary, but you have to do the best for your family, and if this is the best, then you have to do it. Guys, if you want to talk to me on Instagram, you can. On Facebook, you can. I'm here to talk to if you feel scared or anything like that. If you feel anxious about it, we could talk about anything. And definitely, next month I'll be coming to you about a charity what gives out free gifts and gift cards for Christmas for your children. So if you definitely want to hear more about that, definitely say subscribe. I did it last year myself to give you new gift. Like, I don't give my daughter nothing used, so if it's used, she's not getting it. She does everything new, and that's how I like it. So that's how it is personally for me. So I wouldn't tell you to go get used anything. So definitely, I'm gonna come up with that information to give you. Last year, I think it was a $30 or $50 gift card. I think it was $50 gift card plus toys and stuff for your kids, depending on how much kids you have. So yes, people. And I feel like they ask for a birth certificate too. So it's like people lie all the time. They want to make sure, you bring ID, birth certificate, all matches up, things like that. So, yes, guys. I'll tell you about that more in December and which number you have to call to sign up for this thing. It's only if you live in New York. If you live in a different state, I don't think they have it in other states, but I'll definitely ask them and see how can I get that for you. Okay? Later. Bye, guys. I hope I wasn't talking too fast. If anything, you could slow down the speed next time, right? I know I'm crazy fast, but yeah. Later. Bye.